All right. If you're ready, we make a start. Cool. Okay, guys. Find a space. Sit yourself down on the floor. I'm just going to get out of bed mode. Open the hips out to start with. So you're going to sit, feet out in front, knees slightly bent, and we're just going to try and keep our body facing forward and roll our hips side to side. If your hips are a little bit stiff and tight, start with small movements, and we're slowly going to build it until we can get both knees down to the floor each way. The more upright you keep your torso, the more of a challenge that's going to be. And once we're happy with that, we're actually going to turn. Once our knees hit the floor, we're going to turn our torso. So we bring our torso back to the middle, rock our knees right the way through, and then turn. Come back to the front, and rock over. So that becomes our new roll. And then what we're going to do from there is we're going to take, once we're through into that turn position, we're going to take our chest towards our knee. Nice, good stuff. Awesome. From that position, I want you to come on up into a half kneeling position. Take the hands above the head, and we're just going to open out the front of the hips now with that rock back and forth. And then we turn and get the same on the other side. Keep those hands above the head. Awesome, down onto all fours now. In that all four position, we're going to put a fingertip on the temple, point that elbow right underneath the body, and then turn and point it to the ceiling. And then 10 reps. Looking to turn and open the chest as much as we can. We're not just turning the arm, we're looking to open the shoulders. Once we're done, we'll work exactly the same drill on the other side. Awesome, and then up into a press-up position. Once we're up into that press-up position, we're going to step one foot up towards the hand, spend a second or so there, rocking the hips side to side, take it back and switch sides. Allowing the hips to drop towards the floor, and then we rock them side to side. Same again. And switch. Good. One more switch. This time we take the hand that's nearest the foot off the floor, and we reach under the body and turn into a rotation. We want 5 big rotations, and then we switch sides. Good. And once we're down on the floor in that press-up position, we're just going to get 5 press-ups, starting to activate some of the muscles we're going to use to take it all the way to the floor, push to the top. If you struggle with those, you just drop to the knees and carry on those presses. Good. Once you've finished your push-ups, you come up onto your feet, and we're just going to work our way through some lunges. We'll start with some forward lunges, okay? With that forward step into a lunge, drop down, let the body go like you're going to tie your laces, and push back all in one motion. 3 reps. And then switch sides. Good. Once we've done our forward lunges, we're then going to work into a sideways lunge. So as I step out, whichever leg is doing the step, the opposite hand is going to reach down towards the foot. I can actually reach up around the knee if I want to, or I can reach straight down. Once I've done 3 going one way, we'll get 3 going the other way. finish, we're going to step backwards into a lunge. Okay, I'm going to step backwards and drop the back knee, but reach my hands towards the sky. So I've got 3 going one way, I'll get 3 on the other leg, making sure that I don't step too narrow, that I keep that front knee lined up, pointing in the same direction as the toe. Beautiful. There we go, guys. That is our warm-up done. Okie dokie. Warm-up all done. So what we're going to do today, we're going to keep it really simple. We're going to work it on the minute, which allows you guys to work for 30 seconds on, take 30 seconds rest, or you can work for 40 seconds on, take 20 seconds rest. You can do 45 with 15 seconds rest. Nothing more than 50 seconds of work with 10 seconds rest, because that 10 seconds is going to give us time to transition into the next exercise, okay? And you're going to need the side of the sofa to be able to do your dips. We've got dips and press-ups, so we're going to fatigue the triceps before we do the press-ups to make the press-ups a little bit harder. We're then going to do a single leg hip thrust or a glute bridge, depending if you want to be on the floor or shoulders on the sofa. And then we're going to do a rear foot elevated split squat, which I'll take you through as we go. And then we're going to do a plank variation into an air bike for our core. Okay, with all the same principles. So we'll work our way through those 6 exercises, bearing in mind that the lower body stuff is single leg left and right. So we're up to 8 exercises. Okay, so it'll be an 8-minute blast right through. We'll take a break, we'll go again, and then we'll see how we're doing for time. All right, here we go. So dips first. We're going to be off the side of the bench, and we go 3, 2, 1, away we go. So we're working through that dip, supporting with the body, not so much supporting with the legs, and we're controlling through that movement. The longer out I take my feet, the more my upper body is doing the work, because I'm dealing with more of my body weight, and I'm controlling through that movement, keeping tension through that upper body all the time, making sure the hips don't drift too far away. That's 40 seconds gone there. That's 45. So at most another 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, that's time there. That's 50 seconds. I'll give you the time as much as we can. We're getting ready for our press-ups now. It's just box standard press-up. 3, 2, 1, away we go. So we press to the floor and we push all the way back up. We want to make sure, guys, as we're working through these press-ups, that we don't get our shoulders dropping lower than our hips, or vice versa on the way out. Okay, we don't want to be doing the worm. As we're doing those press-ups, we want to make sure that our pelvis is nicely tucked and that we're getting a full range on that press-up, okay? And we can do those press-ups either on our toes or we can drop to our knees, but the premise of the movement is exactly the same. We control our body position. That's 40 seconds gone there. And that's 45. 3, 2, 1. That's time there. Okay, we're back to the sofa now. Shoulders up on the bench, feet on the floor, single leg hip thrust. So we're here, one leg off the floor, drop the hips towards the floor, and then squeeze in that glute. We're going to work one leg all the time. And make sure I'm pushing my hips towards the ceiling. Squeezing the glute as we go. My foot stays flat to the floor. I'm looking through towards my pelvis to not have my rib cage push open. That's 30 seconds gone. Good, keeping tension in the system all the time. 45, 3, 2, 1. Good, we're staying in that position. We're just going to switch legs. 5, 3, 2, 1. We come on up. We're trying to keep the foot underneath the knee, okay, all the time. So we don't want that foot sliding too far forwards. We feel too much in the hamstring. We want this to hit right into the glute. That non-working leg, we keep it tucked in so we don't use it as a tool for more momentum in the movement. And very much like the push-up, we want to control what's going on through our trunk so that we don't have a rib cage that's flaring as we work through. Nice, 40 gone. Good, making sure that we keep that foot planted to the floor so we can squeeze the glute as we rise the hips to the ceiling. And that's time there. Up onto the feet. You're now going to rest one foot on the sofa with the laces pointing down, and then we're just going to work our way through a split squat. Again, you don't want to be too far away from the sofa. You want that back knee to be able to drop straight through towards the floor. Torso angle is kind of going to match your shin angle. Don't be worried about trying to keep it vertical. Weight through all of the foot, okay? Not just the heel, not just the toes. We don't want the heel coming off the floor. That's 30 seconds gone. Almost there now. 40 gone. If you're going for that last 10 seconds, stay with it. Again, it's about controlling the movement. And that's time there. We're just going to switch legs. So we don't want that back foot with the toe down. We want to have laces down. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Away we go. Nice and slow and controlled. Making sure that as you lower down, that knee's not drifting to the inside. You've got control of that. Wherever your toe is pointing, that's where we want our knee to go. And the same with the width. With the width, we don't want to be on a tightrope, making it difficult to balance. We want to be about hip width apart, okay? Nice. Steady, controlled. If you're finding it pretty comfortable, working through that minute, don't worry, the second round will be harder, but also I'll give you a different option that we can work through. 45 gone. Good, and time there. Down to the floor now. We're just going to hold a regular plank or a long plank. 3, 2, 1. Away we go. So I'm in a long plank position here, just like a press up. I've got my shoulders over my hands to load my upper body. I'm pushing into the floor to activate the musculature to support my upper body. And then I'm making sure that my pelvis, my tail isn't up in the air, that I'm tucking that under to keep my rib cage pinned down nice and flat and tight to the body, so my pelvis is pulling one way, my rib cage is pushing in, and that gives me all the support through my trunk. 30 seconds gone. Going really well this morning, guys, making sure that I'm not sagging through the shoulders. I'm actively pushing into the floor to create some tension across the top half of the body. 45 gone. 3, 2, 1. Awesome. We're going to make it a bit more dynamic now. Over onto our backs, and we're going to cycle our legs in and out and alternate elbow to knee. Nice and slow and controlled, making sure that your lower back stays pinned to the floor all the time. So we only extend the legs as much as I can keep my lower back pinned to the floor. Head and shoulders lifted to engage the upper part of my core, and lower back stays flat to the floor to engage the lower. If I can kick my legs all the way up without my back arching, great. If you can't, you're just going to shorten how we push those legs out. 30 seconds gone. Going well. This is the last movement, guys, before we take a minute breather, and then we'll go again. Good, so we keep on working. Remembering to breathe and not hold your breath. And that's 50 there, done. Time. Good job. Okay, take a breath. Have a minute. Nicely done. I've definitely got a bit of a sweat on. Morning, Alan. Good to have you with us. Maybe he's been and gone at this point, but Mark is still with us, which is good. All right, we have 40 seconds before we start again. We're starting with those dips. So if any of these movements weren't overly challenging in that 50-second window, okay, bear in mind you can still do less, but if you're getting to 50 and still thinking I've got more in the tank, we're going to put a little quarter pulse movement in every rep, and I'll show you what that looks like on each of those exercises, okay? Remember, if the exercise was tough, stick with where you're at. Okay, we have 10 seconds before our dips, so let's find our station. Here we go, ready in 3, 2, 1, away we go. So we can dip with our knees bent to start with. Okay, if I slide my feet out a little bit more, but keep my hips close, I've now got more weight through my hands because my legs are supporting less. If I take them all the way up, I've now got more of my body sitting through my arms. So we don't want to be too far away. That puts a lot of stress on the shoulders. I want to keep my hips nice and close to the edge, and we keep working through that. Now if you're finding it super comfortable, we're at the 30-second mark. If you're finding it really comfortable, you're going to come down, do a half rep, back down, and then all the way up. Down to the bottom, halfway back up, down and back up. And that's what I'm talking about, a quarter rep or a half rep or a pulse. All right, we're almost there. And that's our 50-second marker there. Good job, guys. Getting ready for our push-ups. 50 seconds of push-ups is tough anyway, okay? But I'll show you what the half rep looks like. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, away we go. So we're up into our press-ups. I come all the way to the depth, come up a little bit, back down, and then push back to the top. Remembering that we've got a long way to go. And I'm making sure that as I'm going through that pulse, that I'm not just lifting my upper body, everything moves together. Good. That's all done by how I control my core, how I control my pelvis. Remember, okay, we're 35 seconds gone there. We can do all of these things with my knees in contact with the floor. All the time, and keeping that trunk pulled in nice and tight. 3, 2, 1, that's time there. We've now got our hip thrusts, okay? So shoulders on the bench or your sofa, feet on the floor. 3, 2, 1, away we go. So I'm thinking about keeping that foot and ankle underneath the knee as I work through that motion. I can be doing this off the floor, guys, as well. I should have showed you this a little earlier on, but I can do exactly the same movement here on the floor. It's a little bit less demanding because I'm not traveling quite so far. Good, that's 30 seconds gone. When I'm down on the floor, I want to make sure that I'm not forcing too much pressure through my upper body because that's going to create an odd shape. I don't want my rib cage to flare, it's got to stay flat. 45 gone. Keep moving it. 3, 2, 1. That's time there. Remember, we're staying with the bench. We're just going to switch legs. So I'm going to work my left side now, so it's further away from the camera. 3, 2, 1. Away we go. All the time I'm looking through towards my pelvis. As I come to the top, I'm not worrying about how high my hips go, because I don't want my rib cage to flare, okay, and open out. Good. We've got control over the movement all the time. I'm not using my non-working leg to throw that leg up into the air. 30 seconds gone. Let's make sure that our timing, i.e. our tempo, is nice and controlled. We're coming 2 seconds down, 2 seconds up on those hip thrusts. 45 seconds gone there. Nice, guys, and that's time. Good job. Okay, we're onto our feet now, ready for our rear foot elevated split squats. I go laces down on the sofa, and then down and up. So remember, if you want to make this more challenging, I'm coming to the bottom, I'm getting a little half rep, and then I'm standing. Good. So remember, we don't need to do it with the rear foot elevated. I can be doing that with my foot on the floor. Gives me a bit more stability. I just need to make sure that I've got my feet around about hip width apart, and as I'm coming down, I'm bending through both knees, and that my knee stays over my toe. Good stuff. That's 40 seconds gone. We're into the last 10 seconds. Remembering that we can have that little pulse rep in there if we want to. And that's time there. We're going to switch legs, and we've got our 2 core exercises. Good stuff. Morning, Margaret, nice to see you. All right, here we go, left leg, or your second leg. Nice and controlled, dropping that back knee down towards the floor. Remembering I can put those little pulse reps in. And we've got a choice here, we can either get lots of reps in, i.e. moving a little bit faster, or we can go slow and controlled, looking to keep tension in the system all the time. Both will have the desired effect, but they'll feel slightly different in terms of how we're doing them, okay? Good stuff. Keep things under control. That's 40 seconds gone. Nice and steady. Good. That's time. Ooh, a little bit longer actually. Into our plank. So remember, with our plank, we're either going hands on the floor or elbows on the floor, whichever way we go. We want the shoulders sitting over the elbow joint to mean that we have to control how we load the upper body. And then we also keep that pelvis nicely tucked so that our rib cage flattens in to the body and our pelvis pulls under. That contracts and stacks our midsection. Going well, guys, 30 seconds gone. So what we don't want to see in either of the variations is that lower back position. Tuck your tail between your legs. 40 seconds gone. And this tuck is the same tuck I'm going to ask you for when we move into our air bike, which we're doing. That's time there, right now. So right under your belly button, that part of your lower back needs to be flat to the floor all the time. And we're going to start with one knee in, one knee out, elbow to opposite knee, and then we turn and change. That lower back needs to stay flat to the floor as I'm cycling the legs. If you're struggling and you're finding your back's arching, just shorten that movement. You can even just hold in here if that's a real challenge, because that will maintain the tension. Very much like the press up on the plank, we want the rib cage pinned down, pelvis tucked a little bit. That engages the midsection. Good, that's 35 seconds gone. And we're looking to bring knee to elbow down in this position. Breathing is important. That's 45 gone. That's 5, 3, 2, 1. And that is time there. Good job, guys. Awesome. Catch a breath, grab a drink. And that is our 2 rounds for this morning. Nice easy way to start the day. Little 20-minute blast. Leaves you a little bit sweaty. We've moved the body. We've ticked the big box. In terms of movement, it means that you've still got energy to get out for a walk and do things a little bit later on today. I've already been outside this morning. It's a little bit milder than it has been the past couple of days. Noticed that there wasn't any frost on the windscreen. If you're working from home, that's not a problem this morning. All right. But hope you found that useful and enjoyable. I haven't done a live class since we finished lockdown 1. So maybe in July time. But really good to have a few of you involved in that this morning. So we're just going to get into a cool down now. Okay, just to target some of the areas that we've just hit. And then I'll leave you get on your merry way. All right, here we go. Okay, back to your workout space. Feet around about hip width apart. Make sure you've got a bit of clearance around you. We're going to start standing and we're just going to rock backwards and forwards to find our centre point. Bring our breathing back under control. And we're going to start with a big reach up tall, reaching high, and then bringing those hands back down. Tuck the chin in, let the shoulders relax, and slowly, slowly create a big curl through the spine, and slowly work your way down into a hang. No bounce. Keep the knees slightly soft, and just let the body hang. Alright, in this hang position, I just want you then to rotate side to side, just a little bit of a swing, nothing forced. Good. From that position, do whatever you need to, i.e. bend the knees to get your hands flat to the floor and step back into that long plank position. And from this position, we're going to find a downward facing dog. So we're going to go hips high to the ceiling, keep the knees slightly bent, push the floor away, and then we're just going to pad one heel down to the floor at a time. Feeling some length through the calf and the hamstring. Good, then from that position, slowly come back through into that long plank, down through a press up, unhook the feet, and lift up into an upward facing dog. Now in this position, if you're feeling a little bit too much through your lower back, either bend the elbows or just stay down on the elbows and really lift the chest as much as you can. Good. From that position, come up onto all fours. From that all four position, I want you to stick your tail up in the air, squeeze your shoulder blades together, keep your arms locked out and lift the head up and look forward. So we're extending the entire spine now, okay? From that position, you tuck your chin in towards your chest, push the floor away from you, spread your shoulder blades, and then slowly start to create like an abdominal crunch. Tuck your tail between your legs, so you've got the biggest curve we can through the spine. My feet are relaxed, keeping that curve. I'm going to sit my weight back towards my heels wherever's comfortable. Big arch through the back, keep that arch on. Slowly come back up and then return back to neutral. Excellent job. We're staying in that position, in that all four position, but this time I want you to take your knees out much wider than your hands and your hips, and bring your toes together underneath your body. Sit your weight back towards your heels, and then walk your hands out in front so that we're into a child's pose. So side on, we'll be here. I want you to take your hands as far away from your hips as you possibly can without your hips sliding forwards. And just take a few breaths. Excellent, good. Nice and slowly come back up, and we're just going to finish in a seated position. Alright, sit in with both legs out straight. You're going to hug one knee into your chest, pick that foot up and over, and try and get the sole of the foot on the floor. It doesn't matter if it's further forward, but keep it pulled in as tight as you can without the sole coming off and without that hip lifting off the floor. From that position, opposite shoulder wraps around the knee, hug it in tight and sit up tall. You start to feel a stretch through the glute. Take the non-working hand, place it down behind you, turn and look over that back shoulder. Good, nice and slowly release. Throw that leg out straight, same on the other side to finish. Hug that knee in, up and over, Have your in with the opposite arm. You use it to sit up nice and tall. Take the non-working hand down and behind and turn and look over that back shoulder. Remembering to keep the sole of the foot on the floor and keep the hip that's on stretch, keep that glued to the floor as well. Now those two things will dictate how far you can move. Good. Nice and slowly come back to the center. Unhook the feet, shake the legs up guys, and we are done.